Jake Martinez checked his uniform one more time before walking into the meeting room. His hands were shaking a little. Today was the day humans would meet aliens for the first time. Not just any aliens, but the Zephyrians, who had sent messages saying they wanted to talk peace. The space station haven floated between Earth and the alien homeworld. It was built just for this meeting. Jake was there because he knew more about alien life than almost anyone else. He had spent 15 years studying what alien life might look like. Now he would finally see the real thing. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood at the head of the human team. She was tough and smart. Jake respected her. Next to him stood Dr. Amy Foster and Captain Steve Morrison. They all wore their best uniforms. Everyone knew this day would change everything. The doors opened with a soft sound. Jake held his breath. Zephyrians walked in like they were floating. They were tall, maybe 7 feet, with skin that looked like silver metal. Their eyes were huge and dark blue. They moved so smooth it was like watching dancers. Jake had never seen anything so beautiful and strange at the same time. The leader was a female. She wore a long coat that seemed to shine. When she looked at Jake, he felt something weird in his chest, like he knew her from somewhere. But that was impossible. No human had ever met a Zephyrian before today. Admiral Sullivan stepped forward. She began the speech they had practiced 100 times. Welcome to the aliens. Hope for peace between their people. All the right words. Jake was not really listening. He kept looking at the alien leader. Something about her face seemed familiar. Her eyes reminded him of something he could not remember. It was like trying to catch smoke with his hands. Then he heard small footsteps. A child ran into the room. She looked mostly like the other aliens, with silver skin and those big eyes. But something was different about her. She was smaller, maybe 8 years old in human years. Her hair was dark like a human child, not silver like the others. The adult aliens tried to stop her, but she was too fast. She ran straight across the room, past Admiral Sullivan, past the other humans. She ran right to Jake. She stopped in front of him and looked up. Her eyes were green, bright green, just like Jake's eyes. Just like his mother's eyes and his grandfather's eyes. Those were human eyes in an alien face. The child smiled. Then she pointed right at him with her small finger. Dad, she said in perfect English. The room went silent. Jake felt like someone had hit him with a rock. His mouth opened, but no words came out. The alien leader, the one who had seemed familiar, was staring at him with wide eyes. She looked like she had seen a ghost. Admiral Sullivan's hand moved to her weapon. What is this? She asked in a hard voice. The alien leader stepped forward. Slowly, her hands were shaking. I can explain, she said. Her English was good, but had a musical sound to it. This is my daughter. Her name is Zara. Your daughter called our scientist Dad, Admiral Sullivan said. Her voice was getting angry. How is that possible? Jake looked down at the child, Zara. She was still smiling at him. When she looked at him, he felt warm inside, like coming home after a long trip. But he had never seen her before. He was sure of that. I don't understand, Jake said. His voice sounded far away to his own ears. I've never met this child. But even as he said it, he knew something was wrong. There was a blank space in his memory. Something from years ago that he could not quite touch. Like a word on the tip of his tongue that would not come. Zara reached up and took his hand. Her skin was warm, not cold like he expected. You were sick, she said. Mom took care of you. She told me stories about you. The alien leader, Lyra, Jake now knew her name somehow, closed her eyes. This was not supposed to happen, she said. Zara was told to stay with the ship. But I wanted to see him, Zara said. She was still holding Jake's hand. I dreamed about him. He has sad eyes like me. Dr. Amy Foster stepped closer. She was the team's doctor. Admiral, we need to run tests. If this child is part human, we need to understand how that's possible. Tests? Lyra's voice became sharp. You will not experiment on my daughter. Our daughter, Zara said. She looked between Jake and Lyra. Right, Mom? Jake felt dizzy. This was impossible. Humans and aliens could not have children together. It went against everything he knew about biology. Different species from different worlds could not mix. But Zara was standing right there, holding his hand, calling him Dad. Admiral Sullivan spoke into her radio. Security to meeting room 1. We have a situation. Wait, Jake said. He looked at Lyra, really looked at her. Those eyes. That face. Something was trying to break free in his mind. A memory of being hurt, of gentle hands helping him, of lying under alien stars with someone who cared about him. Kepler 442, he said suddenly. 9 years ago, I was doing research there. My pod crashed. Lyra's face went pale. Well, paler than her normal silver color. You remember, I remember being found. Someone saved me. But then ... double quotes Jake put his hand to his head. It's all fuzzy after that. Memory blocks, Lyra said quietly. We had to protect our secret. But they don't work perfectly on human minds. Especially not minds that have bonded with one of us. Zara tugged on Jake's hand. Are you my real dad? She asked. Her voice was small and hopeful. Jake looked down at her. This strange, beautiful child with his eyes and her mother's grace. Something deep inside him, something that felt like truth, said yes. I think I am, he said. The room erupted. Admiral Sullivan was shouting orders. The other aliens were talking fast in their own language. Security guards were coming through the doors. But Jake only saw Zara, his daughter. Somehow, impossibly. His daughter. I knew you would come find me, Zara said. Mom said you might not remember, but I knew you would know me when you saw me. And she was right. Now that the shock was wearing off, Jake did know her. Not from memory exactly, but from something deeper. The same way parents know their children in a crowded room just by how they laugh. Lyra stepped closer. Jake, she said, I'm sorry. I wanted to tell you. But our laws, your laws, it was forbidden. Laws, Jake said. He was still looking at Zara. What about her? What about what she needs? That's what we have to figure out, Lyra said. Admiral Sullivan's voice cut through everything. Nobody moves until we sort this out. Dr. Martinez, step away from the child. But Zara held tighter to Jake's hand. Don't leave me again, Dad. Jake looked up at Admiral Sullivan, then at Lyra, then back down at his daughter. I'm not going anywhere, he said. Jake sat in the small room they had given him. It had been 3 hours since Zara called him Dad. 3 hours since his world turned upside down. Admiral Sullivan had separated everyone while they tried to figure out what was happening. Dr. Lisa Chun sat across from him. She was the fleet's mind doctor. Her job was to help people remember things they had forgotten. Jake trusted her. They had worked together before. Tell me about the Kepler 442 mission, Lisa said. Her voice was calm and gentle. Jake closed his eyes. I was studying energy readings. Strange patterns that didn't match anything we knew. The research pod was small, just me and basic equipment. What happened next? I landed on the 3rd moon, set up my instruments, started taking readings. Jake rubbed his forehead. Then nothing, like someone erased 3 months of my life. Lisa made notes on her pad. The mission reports show you were found by a patrol ship. You were sick and talking about aliens. Command thought you had space fever from being alone too long. But I wasn't alone, Jake said. The words came out before he could stop them. Someone was there. Someone took care of me. Who? Jake tried to remember. It was like looking through thick fog, gentle hands, a soft voice. Someone who sang to me when I was scared. Lisa leaned forward. Jake, I want to try something. Hypnosis. It might help you remember what really happened. Jake nodded. He needed to know. For Zara's sake, he needed to understand. Lisa's voice became slow and steady. Close your eyes. Go back to that moon. You're setting up your equipment. Jake felt himself sinking deeper into the memory. The moon was cold and rocky. 2 suns hung in the purple sky. He was alone, excited about his work. Now what? Lisa asked. The storm, Jake said. His voice sounded far away. It came from nowhere. Lightning everywhere. My pod was struck. Systems failing. I tried to take off, but the engines were dead. What happened next? Crash. Fire. Pain. Jake's breathing got faster. I'm trapped. Can't move my legs. The air is running out. Stay with it, Jake? What happens next? Light. Blue light cutting through the metal. Someone is pulling me out. I can't see clearly. Everything hurts. Who is it? She's beautiful. Silver skin like starlight. Eyes like deep water. She's saying something, but I don't understand the words. Lisa's pen moved quickly. What does she do? Carries me. I'm bigger than her, but she's strong. Takes me to her ship. It's small, hidden in the rocks. Jake's face relaxed. Safe. I feel safe for the first time since the crash. How long are you there? Weeks, maybe months. She takes care of me. Learns my language. I learn some of hers. Jake smiled a little. Her name is Lyra. She's a scout, far from home. Lonely like me. What do you talk about? Everything, her world, my world. She shows me pictures of her home. Cities that float in the clouds. Art made from living light. I tell her about Earth, about rain and oceans, and how humans dream. Lisa wrote faster. What else? We watch the stars together. She knows all their names in her language. I teach her the human names. She laughs when I tell her we see pictures in the star patterns. Bears and hunters and swans. Do you fall in love? Jake was quiet for a long time. Yes, it shouldn't be possible. Different species, different worlds. But yes, she feels it too. Says her people can bond across any distance, even across species. What happens next? Jake's face darkened. Her ship comes, the big one. They've been looking for her. She's been gone too long. Who comes? Her commander. Other scouts. They're angry. Scared. Humans aren't supposed to know about them yet. I'm a problem they need to solve. How do they solve it? Memory wipe. They have machines. That can erase thoughts. Make it like things never happened. Jake's hands clenched. Lyra begs them not to. Says it will hurt me. But orders are orders. Does she let them do it? She has to. But she can't watch. Kisses me goodbye and leaves the room. I try to tell her I love her, but the machines are already starting. Lisa. Put down her pen. What's the last thing you remember? Her crying. Lyra is crying. She says she's sorry. Says if we ever meet again, she hopes I'll forgive her. Jake opened his eyes. Then nothing until I woke up on the patrol ship. Lisa sat back. Jake, there's something else. Something you haven't remembered yet. What? Think about Lyra. Think about the time you spent together. All those weeks. Jake closed his eyes again. More memories came flooding back. Holding hands under alien stars, sharing food, learning each other's languages. And then something else. She was sick, Jake said suddenly. Morning sickness. But I thought it was something she ate. When was this? Near the end. Before her ship came. She was tired all the time. couldn't keep food down. Jake's eyes went wide. Oh God, she was pregnant. Lisa nodded. With Zara. Jake put his head in his hands. She was carrying my child, and I forgot about her. I forgot about both of them. It wasn't your fault. A memory wipe was forced on you. But she remembered. She remembered everything, and I forgot. Jake looked up. How did she live with that? Raising our daughter alone, knowing I was out there somewhere with no memory of them? Maybe that's why she became a diplomat. Maybe she's been working toward this day. The day humans and Zephyrians would meet officially. Jake stood up and started walking around the small room. Zara knew me right away. How is that possible? Zephyrian? Children are telepathic. If Lyra thought about you a lot, Zara would have picked up those thoughts. Your face, your feelings, everything Lyra remembered. So she grew up knowing about me. More than knowing. She grew up loving you through her mother's memories. Jake sat down hard. What kind of father am I? My daughter is 8 years old, and I just met her today. The kind who was robbed of the chance to be there, Lisa said. But you're here now. That's what matters. Admiral Sullivan wants to study her. Run tests. She's talking about keeping Zara as some kind of scientific sample. Lisa frowned. Over my dead body. That child needs her parents, not a laboratory. Both her parents. But what if Lyra's people don't want her to stay? What if they take Zara away? Then we fight for her. You're her father, Jake. You have rights too. Jake looked out the small window. He could see the Zephyrian ship docked to the other side of the station. Somewhere over there, Lyra was probably having the same conversation. With her own people. I need to see them, Jake said. I need to talk to Lyra, to apologize. For what? For forgetting. For not being there. For not fighting harder to remember. Lisa stood up. Jake, you couldn't fight something that was done to your brain by advanced alien technology. You're not superhuman. But I could have tried. Harder. All these years, I felt like something was missing. Like I'd lost something important. I should have dug deeper. You did what any human would do. You moved on with your life. Jake shook his head, while my daughter was growing up without. There was a knock on the door. Admiral Sullivan came in. She looked tired and stressed. Dr. Martinez, we need to talk, she said. The Zephyrians are saying the child is their citizen. They want to take her back to their ship. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. She's my daughter too. Can you prove that? Without proper tests, it's just the word of aliens we barely know. Then let's do the tests. But here, with both parents present, Admiral Sullivan shook her head. It's not that simple. If that child is part human, she could be the key to understanding alien technology. Our scientists need to study her. She's not a thing to be studied. She's a little girl. She's a little girl who might be the most important being in the galaxy. Jake stood up. I want to see Lyra. No, that's not possible. Both sides need time to figure out what this means. What this means is that I have a daughter I've never gotten to hold. A daughter who's been waiting 8 years to meet me. And you want to keep us apart so politicians can argue. Admiral Sullivan's face softened a little. Jake, I understand how you feel, but we have to think about the bigger picture. The bigger picture is that somewhere on this station, my little girl is probably scared and confused. She needs her father. And her mother is probably telling her that humans can't be trusted. Jake headed for the door. Then I better prove her wrong. Admiral Sullivan stepped in front of him. You're not going anywhere until we sort this out. Try and stop me. The two stared at each other. Finally, Admiral Sullivan stepped aside. 1 hour, she said. You get 1 hour with them? Under guard. Jake nodded. It wasn't much, but it was a start dot, as he walked toward the Zephyrian section of the station. One thought kept running through his mind. He was a father. After all these years of being alone, he was a father. Now he just had to figure out how to be one. Jake walked through the corridors toward the Zephyrian section. 2 guards walked with him, but he barely noticed them. His mind was full of questions about Zara and what her life had been like. The doors to the alien section opened with a soft hiss. The air inside smelled different, like flowers and rain. The walls glowed with soft blue light. Everything was curved and smooth, nothing like the sharp angles of human ships. Lyra was waiting for him in a small room. She stood when he entered, her silver skin catching the light. She looked nervous. "Hello, Jake," she said. Her voice was the same musical sound he remembered from his dreams. Lyra. He didn't know what else to say. How do you talk to someone you loved and forgot? "She's sleeping," Lyra said, pointing to another room. The excitement wore her out. Jake could see through the doorway. Zara was curled up on something that looked like a cloud made solid. She looked so small and peaceful. "She's beautiful," Jake said. "She looks like you when she's thinking hard. Gets the same little line between her eyebrows." They stood in silence for a moment. Jake could feel the guards watching them. "I remember now," Jake said finally. "Dr. Chun helped me remember what happened on that moon." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "I wanted to tell you so many times, but the laws of both our peoples forbid it. You raised her alone all these years." "Not alone. My sister helped. And Zara, she's special. Stronger than either of our species. Smarter, too." Jake sat down in one of the strange alien chairs. It molded itself to fit his body perfectly. "What's she like? I mean, day to day. What does she enjoy?" Lyra smiled for the first time. "She loves puzzles. The harder, the better. She can solve math problems that make our computers struggle. And she draws pictures of places she's never been, but somehow knows." "Earth places?" "Yes. Beaches, forests, snow-covered mountains. She draws them from your memories that somehow live in her mind." Jake felt his throat tighten. "She carries part of me with her." "Always has?" "When she was little, she used to ask, and to tell her the Jake stories before bed, about the funny human who named stars after animals." "What did you tell her about why I wasn't there?" Lyra looked down. "The truth. That I loved you, but our peoples weren't ready for that love. That you had been made to forget, but someday, when the time was right, she might meet you. And she believed." "That? She had to. It was all the hope I could give her." Dr. Amy Foster appeared in the doorway. With her was a Zephyrian Jake didn't recognize. The alien was tall and thin, with markings on his skin that seemed to move. "This is Keth Morden," Amy said. "He's their chief scientist. We've been talking about Zara." Keth spoke in accented English. "The child is remarkable. Her genetic structure should not be possible, yet here she is." "What do you mean?" Jake asked. Amy pulled out a tablet. "We ran some basic scans while she was sleeping. Don't worry, nothing invasive. But what we found is incredible." She showed them a complex diagram. "Human and Zephyrian DNA shouldn't be able to combine. We're too different. But somehow, Zara's genes have found a way to make it work." Keth nodded. "She possesses the best traits of both species. Human creativity and determination, combined with Zephyrian telepathy and enhanced intelligence." "What does that mean for her?" Lyra asked. "It means she's unique in the universe," Amy said. "Her brain can process information in ways neither pure human nor pure Zephyrian can manage." Jake looked toward the sleeping child. "Is she healthy?" "More than healthy," Keth said. "She's immune to diseases that affect both our species. Her body repairs itself faster than normal. And her mind." "What about her mind?" Amy exchanged a look with Keth. She can understand both human and Zephyrian thought patterns. She could be a bridge between our peoples. Or a weapon, one of the guards said quietly. Jake turned around. What did you say? The guard looked uncomfortable. Nothing, sir. Just that both sides are worried about what she represents. Lyra stepped forward. Worried how? Amy sighed. There are people in both governments who see Zara as either a threat or a tool. Some want to study her, others want to hide her, and a few want to use her abilities for military purposes. Jake felt anger rising in his chest. She's 8 years old. She's an 8-year-old who solved the navigation problem this morning that our best computers couldn't handle. Amy said. When she woke up, she asked why our ships couldn't travel through the Nebula of Sorrows. Then she drew a map showing a safe path through it. Keth's skin markings glowed brighter. The Nebula of Sorrows has blocked trade between our worlds for centuries. If her solution works, it would change everything, Amy finished. Jake walked to the doorway and looked at his sleeping daughter. What kind of life is she going to have? Everyone wanting to use her, or study her, or fear her. The kind of life we make possible, Lyra said. She came to stand beside him. She deserves to grow up normal. To play and learn and make friends. Can she? Make friends, I mean. Are there other children like her? Amy and Keth exchanged another. Look, what? Jake asked. There might be, Amy said slowly. We've been comparing records. There are gaps in both our databases. Missing persons reports. People who disappeared near the borders between our territories. You think there are other hybrid children? It's possible. Secret relationships between our species might be more common than either government wants to admit. Zara appeared in the doorway, rubbing her eyes. She had been listening. There are others, she said sleepily. I can feel them sometimes, in my dreams. Jake knelt down to her level. What do you mean, sweetheart? Other kids like me? Half, and half, they feel lonely too. She looked up at him with those green eyes. But I'm not lonely anymore. I found you. Jake opened his arms, and Zara ran into them. Holding her felt like the most natural thing in the world. She was small and warm, and smelled like starlight. I've been waiting so long to do that, he whispered. Me too, Dad. Lyra watched them with tears in her eyes. She used to hug pillows and pretend it was you. Jake looked up at her. I'm sorry I wasn't there. You're here now. That's what matters. Dr. Amy cleared her throat. We have a problem. Both governments want custody of Zara. The humans say she's too valuable to let go. The Zephyrians say she's their citizen and belongs with them. She belongs with her parents, Jake said firmly. That's what we told them. But there are no laws for this situation. No precedent for custody of a hybrid child. Zara pulled back from Jake. What if I don't want to go with either government? What if I want to stay with both my parents? Sweetheart, it's complicated, Lyra said. No, it's not. Zara's voice was clear and determined. I want my mom and my dad together. I want us to be a family. Jake looked at Lyra. Is that possible? I don't know. The laws of both our peoples, ... Forget the laws, Jake said. What do? You want? Lyra was quiet for a long moment. I want what I've wanted for 8 years. You and me and Zara together. Then that's what we'll fight for. Keth spoke up. There are others who would support this. Progressive members of both species who believe cooperation is better than separation. What kind of others? Amy asked. Scientists, diplomats, people who see the potential in unity rather than the danger in difference. Jake stood up, still holding Zara's hand. Then we find them. We build support. We show both sides that love is stronger than fear. It won't be easy, Amy warned. There are powerful people who want Zara for their own purposes. Let them try, Jake said. I've lost 8 years with my daughter. I'm not losing any more. Zara squeezed his hand. Dad, there's something else. The other kids like me, the ones I feel in my dreams. I think they're in trouble. What kind of trouble? Bad people have them. They're doing tests, hurting them. Zara's eyes filled with tears. We have to help them. Jake looked at Lyra, then at Amy and Keth. How many children are we talking about? I don't know, Zara said, but they're scared, and they're calling for help. Amy pulled out her tablet again. If there are other hybrid children being held against their will, we need to find them. Both our governments have black sites, Keth said quietly, secret facilities for dangerous research. Jake felt sick. You think our own people are experimenting on hybrid children? I think scared people do terrible things, Amy said. And both humans and Zephyrians are very scared, right? Now, Zara tugged on Jake's hand. Dad, will you help me save them? Jake looked down at his daughter, 8 years old and already trying to save others. She had inherited the best of both species, including their sense of right and wrong. Yes, sweetheart. We'll save them all, even if it's dangerous. Jake looked at Lyra. She nodded. Even if it's dangerous, Zara smiled. Good, because I have a plan. Jake woke up to alarms blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. He jumped out of bed and grabbed his uniform. Something was very wrong. His door chimed. Dr. Amy Foster stood outside, her face pale and worried. Jake, we have a problem. A big one. What's happened? Someone attacked the Zephyrian diplomatic ship. It's damaged but not destroyed, and Zara is missing. Jake felt his heart stop. Missing? How is that possible? Security footage shows armed humans in black uniforms taking her from her quarters. They moved fast and knew exactly where to find her. Jake ran toward the Zephyrian section. Amy followed close behind. The corridors were full of running people and flashing lights. Where's Lyra? In the medical bay? She tried to stop them and got hurt. They found Lyra lying on a medical bed. Her silver skin was pale, and there was a bandage on her head. When she saw Jake, tears filled her eyes. They took her, she whispered. They took our daughter. Jake took her hand. Who? Who took her? Humans, but not your people, not the diplomats, soldiers in black. They had weapons designed to hurt Zephyrians. Admiral Sullivan appeared in the doorway. She looked angry and confused. Dr. Martinez, we have a situation. The attackers weren't from my fleet. Then who were they? We're trying to figure that out, but there's more. We intercepted a message before they escaped. They're demanding a meeting. Jake stood up. A meeting with who? You and Commander Lyra. They say if you don't come, they'll hurt Zara. Lyra tried to sit up. It's a trap. Of course it's a trap, Jake said, but we have to go anyway. Admiral Sullivan shook her head. I can't let you do that. These people are dangerous. More dangerous than leaving my daughter with them? Dr. Amy pulled out her tablet. Jake, there's something else. I've been analyzing the attack pattern. This wasn't random. They knew exactly how to disable Zephyrian security systems. What does that mean? It means they've been planning this for a long time, and they have inside information from both sides. Keth Morden entered the medical bay. His skin markings were flashing angry red colors. Commander Lyra, I bring word from our ship. The attackers use technology that is part human, part Zephyrian. Jake frowned. That's impossible. Our tech is completely different. Not if someone has been secretly combining them, Amy said slowly. Jake, what if there are people on both sides who have been working together? Working together to do what? Lyra struggled to sit up. To start a war. The room went quiet. Think about it, Lyra continued. What better way to make our peoples hate each other than to create an incident involving a hybrid child? Admiral Sullivan's face went dark. You're saying someone wanted this to happen? I'm saying someone has been planning this for years, Lyra said. The memory wipe on Jake wasn't just to protect secrets. It was to separate us, to make sure no one knew about hybrid children until it was time to use them. Jake felt sick. Use them how? Kat's markings flashed brighter. As weapons. As proof that mixing our species creates dangerous beings. Amy looked at her tablet. Or as test subjects to develop weapons that work on both species. You mean biological weapons? Think about it. Zara is immune to diseases that affect both humans and Zephyrians. But if someone could reverse engineer that immunity, Jake didn't need her to finish. They could create a plague that would kill everyone except the hybrids. Admiral Sullivan activated her communicator. Security, I need a full investigation of everyone who had access to the station schematics. Admiral, came the reply. We found something. General Roy Hammond requested detailed plans of the Zephyrian quarters 3 days ago. Jake knew that name. Hammond was a war hawk who had opposed the peace talks from the beginning. Where is Hammond now? Unknown, sir. He left the fleet yesterday for what he called a classified mission. Lyra grabbed Jake's arm. The meeting location. Where do they want us to go? Admiral Sullivan checked her notes. Asteroid mining station in the Vega system. It's been abandoned for 5 years. Perfect place for a secret laboratory. Amy said. Jake stood up. Then that's where we're going. Jake, you can't just walk into their trap. I'm not walking into anything. I'm going to get my daughter back. Lyra swung her legs off the medical bed. Our daughter. And I'm coming with you? You're injured. I'm fine, and you'll need me. If they have other hybrid children there, they'll trust me more than humans. Admiral Sullivan shook her head. I can't authorize this mission. Captain Steve Morrison appeared in the doorway. Jake was surprised to see him. Steve was supposed to be back on Earth. You don't need to authorize it, Steve said. Because it's not an official mission. Steve, what are you doing here? Stopping a war, Steve said. Jake, there's something you need to know. General Hammond isn't working alone. He has allies on the Zephyrian side, too. Kef's skin went pale. War Minister Drac Kolfus. You know him? He leads the faction that believes humans are too dangerous to live. He's been arguing for a preemptive strike against Earth. Steve nodded. Hammond and Kolfus have been secretly working together. They want both our peoples to think the other side is preparing for war. So they create incidents to prove their point, Jake said. Exactly. And what better incident than hybrid children being used as weapons? Amy looked up from her tablet. I'm reading energy signatures from the abandoned mining station. There's definitely something big happening there. How big? Big enough to power a small city. Or a major research facility. Jake looked at Lyra. Are you strong enough to travel? For Zara, I'm strong enough for anything. Admiral Sullivan stepped forward. If you're going to do this, you're not going alone. I'm sending Captain Morrison. With a small team. No, Steve said. If official forces show up, they'll disappear with the children. This has to be unofficial. Then who goes? People who have a personal stake, Steve said. Jake and Lyra as parents. Me as someone who's been tracking this conspiracy. And maybe a few others who want to stop a war. Kath stepped forward. I volunteer. Those children will need medical care. Amy nodded. Count me in too. If there are hybrid kids being experimented on, they'll need someone who understands their biology. Jake felt a mix of fear and determination. When do we leave? Now, Steve said. Every hour we wait is another hour those children suffer. As they prepared to leave, Admiral Sullivan pulled Jake aside. "Dr. Martinez, you know this could be suicide." "Maybe, but doing nothing definitely is. For Zara, for the other children, and for any chance of peace between our species. What if you're wrong? What if this isn't a conspiracy?" Jake looked through the window at the stars. "Then I'll have died trying to save my daughter. I can live with that. But can she live without you? She's been living without me for 8 years. But she's never lived knowing I abandoned her. When she needed me most." Admiral Sullivan nodded slowly. "Good luck, Jake." An hour later, Jake stood in the cargo bay of a small ship with Lyra, Steve, Amy, and Keth. They were about to head into what was almost certainly a trap. But as Jake thought about Zara scared and alone in some secret laboratory, he knew they had no choice. "Everyone ready?" Steve asked. Jake took Lyra's hand. "Let's go get our daughter." The ship launched into space, heading toward the abandoned mining station and whatever horrors waited there. Jake just hoped they weren't too late. As they traveled through hyperspace, Lyra suddenly grabbed his arm. "Jake, I'm getting something. A telepathic signal. From Zara? From multiple children. They're all together. And they're all very frightened." "How many?" Lyra closed her eyes and concentrated. 12. No, 13. All hybrids. All between the ages of 6 and 15. Amy looked sick. 13 children. "How long has this been going on?" "Longer than we thought," Steve said grimly. "Much longer." Jake stared out at the stars rushing past. Somewhere ahead of them, 13 children were waiting to be rescued. He would not let them down. The abandoned mining station looked dead from the outside. No lights, no movement, just a dark shape against the stars. But Jake could see the subtle signs that Amy had detected. Power conduits glowing faintly, air recyclers working, ships docked in hidden bays. "Readings show at least 50 people inside," Steve said, checking his instruments. "They're trying to look abandoned, but this place is very much alive." Lyra pressed her hand to her temple. "The children are in the center section. Level 5. They're frightened, but unharmed so far." "So far?" Jake repeated. "What else are you getting?" "Pain. Not from the children, but from others. Adults. They're doing something terrible to grown hybrids." Amy checked her medical scanner. "I'm detecting biological experimentation signatures. Someone is definitely developing weapons in there." Keth's skin markings pulsed with anger. "We must stop this." Steve plotted their approach. "There's a maintenance airlock on the lower level. We can get in without being detected." They docked quietly and made their way through dark corridors. The station was bigger than it looked from outside. Endless hallways and chambers carved out. Of the asteroid. Jake could hear voices ahead, human voices. "Subject 7 shows increased resistance to the new compound," someone was saying. "We may need to increase the dosage." "Careful," another voice replied. "We need them alive for the final phase." Steve motioned for everyone to stay quiet. They crept closer to an observation window. Inside the chamber was something that made Jake's blood run cold. A laboratory full of cages, and in those cages were people. Adults who looked like they were part human, part Zephyrian. They were sick, weak, barely moving. "Test subjects," Amy whispered. "They're using adult hybrids to develop biological weapons." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. "Some of those people, I know them. They disappeared years ago during border patrols." Jake wanted to break down that door and free them all. But first they had to find the children. They made their way deeper into the station. The corridors here were cleaner, more like a school than a prison. Jake's hope began to rise. Then they heard it. Children laughing. Jake and Lyra looked at each other. Zara's laugh was unmistakable. They found the children in a large room, that had been set up like a classroom. 13 kids of various ages, all showing the mixed features of human and Zephyrian heritage. They were playing games and seemed happy. Too happy, Jake realized. Unnaturally happy. They're drugged, Amy said, checking her scanner. Mild sedatives to keep them calm and cooperative. Zara looked up and saw them through the doorway. Her face lit up with joy, but she didn't run to them. The drugs were keeping her movements slow and dreamy. Dad? Mom? You came to visit our school. Jake's heart broke. She thought this was a school. A woman in a white coat entered the children's room. She was tall and severe looking. Children, time for your afternoon lessons. What kind of lessons? One of the older kids asked. Today we're going to practice your special abilities. Dr. Hammond wants to see how strong you've all become. Jake felt rage building inside him. They were training the children to use their hybrid abilities as weapons. Steve touched his shoulder and pointed down the corridor. General Hammond himself was approaching with several armed guards. Phase 2 begins tomorrow. Hammond was saying to someone on his communicator. The children should be ready. If not, we'll have to accelerate the program. And the adult subjects? Dispose of them. We have what we need from their biology. Jake had heard enough. He couldn't wait any longer. Now, he whispered, they burst into action. Steve and his team took out the guards, while Jake and Lyra ran to the children's room. Amy and Keth headed for the laboratory to help the adult prisoners. Zara! Jake called out. His daughter looked at him with confused, drugged eyes. Dad, are you here for Parent Day? Something like that, sweetheart. We're taking you home. The woman in the white coat tried to stop them. You can't take the children. They're part of a vital research program. Lyra grabbed the woman by her coat. They're not research. They're children. Children who could end the war between our species, the woman insisted. By being turned into weapons? Jake demanded. By showing both sides what cooperation can accomplish. Through force and experimentation? General Hammond appeared in the doorway with more guards. Dr. Martinez, I was hoping you'd come. Let the children go, Hammond. I'm afraid I can't do that. These children represent the future of human-alien relations. They represent nothing but your twisted ambitions. Hammond smiled coldly. You? Still don't understand, do you? This was always the plan. Create hybrid children. Let them grow up thinking they're special, then use their abilities to prevent a war. By starting one first? By making both sides so afraid of each other that they'll accept any solution, even one that requires giving up some of their precious independence. Jake looked around the room. The children were starting to wake up from their drugged state. They looked scared and confused. You're insane. I'm practical. War between humans and Zephyrians is inevitable unless something changes. These children are that change. Zara had made her way to Jake's side. She was still, wobbly from the drugs, but her eyes were clearing. Dad, she whispered, there are more bad people coming. I can feel them. She was right. Jake could hear footsteps and voices in the corridors. Lots of them. Hammond, even if you win here, you can't win everywhere. People will find out what you've done. People will thank me when they realize I prevented a galactic war. Lyra stepped forward. You didn't prevent anything. You caused it. Suddenly, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. What's happening? Hammond demanded. One of his technicians ran into the room. Sir, we're getting massive energy readings from the children's quarters. Jake looked around. All 13 children were standing together now, holding hands. Their eyes were glowing with soft light. Zara looked up at Jake. Dad, we're going to stop the bad people now. Sweetheart, what are you doing? What we were. Born to do, bring peace. The children began to speak in unison. their voices creating harmonics that seemed to fill the entire station. We are the bridge between worlds. We carry the hopes of both our peoples. We will not be weapons. We will be healers. The light from their eyes grew brighter. Jake could feel something happening inside his mind. Images and emotions that weren't his own. He saw through Zephyrian eyes, felt their wonder at the universe, their desire for beauty and harmony, their fear of human violence and chaos. But he also felt human determination, the drive to explore and grow and never give up, the willingness to sacrifice for others, the capacity for love that transcended all boundaries. For the first time, Jake truly understood both sides of his daughter's heritage. Around the room, everyone was experiencing the same thing. Guards were lowering their weapons. Scientists were staring in wonder. Even Hammond looked shaken. "My God," he whispered. "What are they doing?" "Showing us who we really are," Lyra said. Tears were streaming down her silver cheeks, the children's. BRODCAST was growing stronger. Jake realized it wasn't just affecting people on the station. Somehow, they were reaching every human and Zephyrian mind in both solar systems. On Earth, people suddenly understood that the aliens they feared were just trying to survive and find their place in the universe. On the Zephyrian homeworld, beings who had seen humans as chaotic destroyers now felt their capacity for growth and love. The war that both sides had been preparing for became impossible. How can you fight someone whose hopes and dreams you've experienced firsthand? Hammond staggered backward. This isn't what was supposed to happen. No, Jake said. This is what was always supposed to happen. You just tried to control it instead of letting it grow naturally. The children released their joined hands. The glowing in their eyes faded. Zara ran to Jake, and he picked her up, holding her tight. "Did we do good, Dad?" "You did amazing, sweetheart." Steve appeared in the doorway. "Jake, we need to go. Both human and Zephyrian fleets are heading this way. But not to fight, to rescue the children." As they prepared to leave, Jake looked back at General Hammond. The man seemed broken. His grand plan turned into something beautiful that he couldn't control. "It didn't have to be this way, Hammond. If you just let people choose cooperation, instead of forcing it on them." 3 days later, Jake stood on the observation deck of the new joint space station, watching Earth and the Zephyrian homeworld rise together in the viewport. Zara was beside him, her hand in his. "Dad, look," she sighed, pointing to a group of children playing in the station's central park. Human and Zephyrian kids together, laughing and learning from each other. "I see them, sweetheart. The universe is going to be different now, isn't it?" Jake smiled. "Yes, I think it is." Lyra joined them at the viewport. She was wearing a new uniform, one that represented both governments. "The council meeting went well," she said. "Both sides have agreed to the joint exploration program. And the colonies? First one breaks ground next month, on the moon where we first met." Jake put his arm around both his girls. "What do you think, Zara? Ready to help build a new world?" Zara grinned. "I've been ready my whole life, Dad." As Jake watched the stars wheel overhead, he thought about how much had changed since that first day when a little girl pointed at him and called him Dad. A war had been prevented. 2 species had learned to understand each other. And